This is Euronews Now. I'm Helena Humphrey. Here are your top stories. Ukraine marks its National Flag Day, but President Zelensky bans public celebration as the country braces for more Russian attacks. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is in Canada for talks focused on boosting energy security for Europe's largest economy. And the euro drops to a 20-year low against the US dollar as worries persist over the global economy.
Ukraine shows off captured Russian armoured vehicles before a city curfew in Kyiv. President Volodymyr Zelensky has banned rallies marking the country's two annual celebrations, today's National Flag Day and Independence Day on Wednesday. Ukraine fears an escalation of Russian attacks following the killing of the daughter of one of Vladimir Putin's allies in a car bombing near Moscow at the weekend.
Dear Ukrainians, especially these days when we celebrate the day of our flag and the day of our independence, if you are somewhere abroad, please remind others about Ukraine there. Be there with the Ukrainian flag and spread the truth about the crimes of the occupiers.
The death toll in Russian rocket attacks on hostel dormitories in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv last week has risen to 25. The rescue operation ended on Monday with 8 bodies still unidentified. Around 40 injured are recovering in hospitals. On the military front, almost 9,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed since Russia launched its invasion. It's the first time Ukraine's revealed the scale of its military losses. Meanwhile, under the threat of Russian attacks and a war that stopped all football in Ukraine, a new league season starts today. All games in the 16-team league will be played in and around Kyiv and further west. If the sirens sound, players must dash to bomb shelters in the stadiums.
These videos, supplied by Russian authorities, which have not been independently verified, show the alleged suspect in the death of Russian ultranationalist Daria Dugina, killed in a car bombing on Sunday. Moscow says the suspect, a Ukrainian woman, has since fled to Estonia. Vladimir Putin has described Dugina as a talented person with a real Russian heart, adding she proved by deed what it means to be a patriot of Russia. The 29-year-old is the daughter of influential Russian political theorist Alexander Dugin, often referred to as Putin's brain. There are suspicions he was the intended target. Dugin says our hearts yearn for more than just revenge or retribution. And my daughter laid her maiden life on its altar, so please win. Russia's security service accuses Ukraine's secret services of killing Dugina. Investigators have opened a murder case. Kyiv denies the accusations.
Ukraine surely doesn't have anything to do with yesterday's explosion, because we're not a criminal state and we're not a terrorist state.
The presidential advisor also took to Twitter, saying Russian propaganda lives in a fictional world. And vipers in Russian special services started an intra-species fight. The country says it's bracing for an intensification of Russian missile attacks to coincide with its Independence Day on Wednesday and in the aftermath of Dugina's death.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is hoping to strike gold on the second day of his Canadian tour. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February, Berlin has been scrambling to find alternatives to Russian oil and gas. Before the war, Europe's largest economy depended on Moscow for just under a third of its natural gas needs. Now it is looking for new suppliers. Scholz is travelling to the island of Newfoundland with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to inspect the site of a future wind farm. Berlin wants to give Canada the technology to build a hydrogen plant that creates clean, renewable energy, not just to counter Russia's energy dominance, but also to help the German and Canadian economies reach carbon neutrality.
To stop man-made climate change, we know that this requires high-tech answers that we want to achieve, but we want to offer globally competitive products and services, but at the same time we want to operate in a CO2 neutral way. that this is a very special task that requires the highest level of competence, but we believe that if we move this forward closely together, we'll be able to do just that.
Clean energy is an issue that's more important than ever because of the threats posed by climate change, but also because of Russia's war in Ukraine.
Germany's current energy crisis, however, won't be solved by this hydrogen deal alone. In return, shows that his Foreign Minister Robert Habeck want to firm up access to Canadian liquefied natural gas. Trudeau says he's exploring the possibility of a trade agreement, but has cautioned he can't guarantee it will be feasible. New port infrastructure and pipelines will be needed to transport liquefied natural gas across the Atlantic, which rules out direct shipments to European ports in the short term.
The euro fell below parity with the US dollar on Monday for the second time this year, sinking to levels not seen since it was first introduced. The currency fell by as much as 0.9%, meaning it's now trading at levels last seen in 2002. It comes as the Eurozone faces rising inflation amid fears of an energy crisis this winter, as Russia threatens to squeeze its gas deliveries to the continent. Meanwhile, the dollar rose 0.8% to a more than 5-week high, evidence of the diverging fortunes of the European and US economies. The euro briefly fell below parity in mid-July for the first time in 20 years.
Germany's 10-year bond yield has hit a new 4.5-week high. It follows fresh concern that disruption to European gas supplies will keep energy prices elevated, ensuring inflation stays high across the continent. The European Commissioner for Internal Market tweeted that he strongly advises everyone to limit the use of their air conditioner this summer. French supermarket retailer Carrefour is freezing prices on 100 everyday products. Small businesses are already making their own sacrifices.
Before, we used to bake bread 5 times a day. But now we've cut back to 3. We have organised ourselves differently. This means that special breads are baked with the baguettes instead of on their own.
But tightening the energy belt is not everyone's cup of tea.
I think it's abusive. We do what we want at home. We pay for gas, electricity. We'll be cold. We'll put blankets on.
We can always put on more jumpers, socks, mittens if we have to.
In the UK, some electricity bills have nearly tripled in 1 year. A movement of people refusing to pay has gained momentum.
£176. I'm going to put that money in a savings.
Meanwhile, in Italy, core inflation, excluding energy, has jumped to 4.1%. As Italy heads to the polls next month, candidates will be forced to reckon with the cost of living crisis. The far-right Brothers of Italy, in coalition with Forza Italia and the Lega Party, are expected to come out top, with Giorgia Meloni set to become the next Prime Minister. Our correspondent, Giorgia Orlandi, has more from Rome.
For the first time in 100 years, Italy's general elections will be held in autumn. By 8 p.m. on Monday, all main political parties had to submit their official candidate list. Now, the electoral campaign, which is going to last a month, officially gets underway this week. You can tell by the campaign posters that you can see here in Rome. But the city is unusually empty. That's because most Italians are still on holiday. So this scenario is what awaits them when they come back to Italy's capital, as well as to other cities across the country. Now, among the main themes of this electoral campaign, there is the energy crisis, inflation, migration and the war in Ukraine. Two main coalitions will be confronting each other on all these issues. One is the centre-left and the other one is the one led by right-wing party Brothers of Italy, which also includes Silvio Berlusconi's Forza Italia and Matteo Salvini's League Party, which according to recent polls is expected to get a clear majority at the next elections. Although it's still a long way to go and anything can happen between now and the 25th of September. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
You're watching Euronews now. We've got plenty more coming up after a short break, so don't go anywhere.